What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Game Time Podcast with your guys, SnowBikeMike and Tom Bock. It is episode 13, and we have completed our Spider-Man spoiler cast on episode 12. It's time to get back into the normal rhythm of video gaming and sports topics, so we're going to have some fun. Tom Bock, welcome back. How you feeling today?
Michael Howard, I'm feeling great. Lucky 13, man. We made it to 13. I love it.
Out here, we're having fun, just two dudes talking about video games and sports, their two passions in life, and enjoying each and every episode. So, to kick us off, of course, we love to talk about what we've been playing, and now we're in the thick of things with all the fall releases. So, we're going to have a lot to talk about, and Tom, I know you have a lot to talk about. I got a lot to talk about, but you've been playing some of the big games, so I'm going to let you take over. What have you been playing?
Mike, I think I may be losing my mind because I think I've played, when did we record our Spider-Man spoiler cast? Maybe like 10 days ago. And I think in that time, I was looking at the list that I just made here. I've played like 6 new games, and I've probably played, 4 or 5 hours of each of them. So we got a lot to talk about, man. Some really good stuff, some stuff that I'm a little disappointed in with one of them in particular. But man, let's crank through this. I'll give you the 1, 2, 3. I'll give you the 6. Let's we'll go one by one, and then some of these I'm sure overlap with you, and then you can hit if there's any unique ones that you've been playing that are different than these. Cool.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start with the biggie, man, and at least for me it was biggie. We did our what are the games we're most excited for in the coming year, and my number 2 game was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So let's start there. Because man, I am so disappointed in this game. I hate to say it. There's just something that's not working for me with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So I don't know where to start with this one, but I think I have an idea. So I'll start with the good stuff. Dude, the game looks fantastically good. It is amazing looking. It feels good to move around the world. The mechanics are what I thought they would be. All of that is good. But for some reason, man, and I don't know what this is about it, and it could just be me, because I've talked about before, I'm really bad OCD with video games. When I see a lot of stuff going on, I got to go here, I got to go there, I got to do the challenge rooms, I got to do the tombs, I got to see everything. But man, the pacing of this game, Mike, is killing me. And I can never get in a rhythm with it. And every time I start doing something, I probably get distracted off the main story beat, and I end up farting around doing something different. I think I told you the other day that in like the first 6 hours of the game, I'm not exaggerating here, I think I fired my weapon like twice. At the very beginning of the game, I think I killed a few people, and that was it. There was like no combat, just exploration. Again, it's probably on me. I should probably play the game differently and not get distracted by every little thing. But man, the second most excited game for me has turned out to be it's a swing and a miss for me so far, at least as a number 2 game. It's a fine game. If it came out in May of last year, I'm sure I would have loved it, but maybe coming off Spider-Man, maybe just the way I've been playing it, it's not grabbing, man. What you've been playing it too? Give me your thoughts on that game.
Oh, Tom, I am just not into it at all. I'm not driven to play it. I love Lara Croft. I love the trilogy that they've set up. I love the setting right now in the jungle of Central and South America. I'm actually digging all of the tones, but I think we talked about it in that Spider-Man spoiler cast. The tone of the voice acting and just how different it feels, how much lower level it feels. Not to say it's bad at all, but it just is not up to par with what we just came off of with Spider-Man. So for me to jump right into that, have Lara Croft do some dialogue lines where it's just like, whoa, this does not seem right, really kind of put me at the part where I didn't want to play it. So I think I've gotten past... Right now, I just beat the level where you're young Lara Croft climbing around Croft Manor, and you head back into reality with your guy, and you're currently in the town. He's going to, hang out with some cute girl and get beers while I go explore the town. And that's where I cut it right there. I said, you know what? Maybe I need a week or two. I'll come back to you. She's in the back of my mind. I want you to know that. Like, I'm thinking, man, when am I going to find time to play this single player experience? And now I have a big issue because Assassin's Creed just came out. Call of Duty comes out next week. I don't know if Lara Croft, I don't know if I'll circle back. And that's my feeling is, I'm past it now.
And maybe it is just a timing thing, just because of the way that everything, between Spider-Man and how fun that was. Man, this just pains me though, Mike. I got to be honest. Like this game, it felt like it was just ready to bust out and be just a massive success to me. I loved the last two games. Just on so many levels, I dug those games, and it's just killing me that I'm not enjoying this game. I will point out one thing too, and I mentioned, and I'm way further than you are. You're kind of the first 25% of the game. I'm probably 75% of the way through it. So I've stuck with it. I've actually really tried as hard as I can to keep going with it. Right. So I'm pressing through it. So it gets a little better at spots. The puzzles are really good. The tombs are really good. Like the stuff that's the exploration focused stuff's actually a lot of fun, and I'm having a good time with it. The combat though is really, really messy. And there's one kind of combat that I can't stand in shooters. It's when enemies like rush at you kind of style, where you as soon as you trigger them, they all just run headlong at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're just fighting. I mean, they don't hide behind stuff. I sort of like they hide, you hide, and you try to take each other out style. They just run at you, and you're just slapping at them, trying to knock them down, trying to kill them. It bothers me that this game is not better. Maybe it'll end better. Maybe I'm not as far into it as I think I am. Dude, even the progression of like the skills, I've been upgrading and doing all that stuff. It's like the same game. None of the skills feel like they added anything to it. I don't feel any sense of progression other than knocking stuff off the map and getting through Paititi, which I don't think you've gotten to Paititi yet. Have you? The big giant hub world? I think that's
No.
I think that's right.
I might
before
be like
where
showing up right there, but I'm in a small town right now.
Yeah. So man, that's my first game I want to cover. That's super disappointing to me. Maybe loop back to it. And I think it is a little bit, man, this is a kind of a trippy thought, but when developers are working on these games, as long as they're working on them, and you and I talked about the fact that, especially just watching the visuals of Spider-Man and then watching the visuals of this one, look, these two studios obviously don't know what each other is working on. And what a shock it must be to them to a week apart, they come out with a game that is so strikingly different than the other one. And I don't mean that in terms of just gameplay, but just like you said, it feels like they weren't even in the same room doing dialogue. Like you go from this masterpiece level conversation and facial expressions and all the stuff that Spider-Man did to this, like I said, I said on last podcast, I felt like a 10-year jump in technology. And in one way, I kind of felt bad for Crystal Dynamics. It's like they had no idea what Insomniac was working on and how much better that was going to be. And the fact that they came out so close together, I think is to me the biggest problem with this game is it is a bad timing to release a game that just wasn't as good as the stuff that came out around the same time,
It's tough, Tom. And, I'm playing it on easy. I knew going into Tomb Raider, I said, I'm going to put everything on easy, and I'm going to just try to mainline this story. So there's an easier idea for me to get back into that and just try to blaze through it, because I am on easy. I'm not doing any of the side missions. I'm not even collecting any of the stuff to, make resources or rebuild things. I just want to get right through it no matter what. So I bet you I will smash my head into a wall a couple of times, but I will do my best to try to beat that game just simply on easy and get through it.
Yeah, I will say one thing though. So I have it on the hardest mode. We always talk about, I kind of always do that with most of these games, but the one thing that they added to this game that's actually really cool, and I will say has been one of the positives. I mentioned how good it looked, and it really does look good and it plays good. But you can turn off all of when you do platforming, a lot of in the previous games, you could kind of see your path because they put like a white piece of paint on the rocks.
So
you knew where you were going. You can turn that off in this game. You can completely turn off any of the markers that tell you where to go and what to do. And so there's a lot of trial and error then, because you're not sure. It's like, hey, can I make that jump? Is that actually a handhold? Dude, it's really cool though, because it makes it feel very real. You don't feel, that was always my issue with like Uncharted. The platforming felt super just button mash, and he'll shimmy up and you don't have to worry about falling or any of that. That is a really cool feature that they added to this over the previous ones, is taking that real simple visual cue, taking it out of there makes platforming a hell of a lot of fun. And when I do loop back and do all the tombs and all that, I think I'll enjoy it hopefully a little bit more. But man, for my number 2 game to be, it's not even in my top 10 of this year, not even close at this point. So we'll see. All right, so that's Tomb Raider. Have you played any? You want to talk Assassin's Creed a little bit? Have you played any? I don't want to do it if you haven't played it.
I have not played any. But me and Tom, just for future reference, I'm sure we'll talk about it next episode. Me and Tom have made the commitment. Tom is going to play as Cassandra. She is getting the most hype right now. Everybody's saying play as her. She's a lot of fun. It becomes a Wonder Woman game. I will take the grunt. I will be Alexios. And, from what I hear, a lot of people say his voice acting just isn't up to par as Cassandra. But I have a couple buddies who are playing as Alexios, and they say they're having a fun time. So at least we'll have contrasting ideas, and we'll tell you what we think of both storylines with that.
Good, man. We'll loop back to that one. I'll leave that one on the burner for now. I just will give one really quick. I am having a blast with it. I've probably 10 hours-ish I've put into it. It is definitely one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games ever. I can't wait for you to play it so you and I can talk about it, because this is one that I wish was my number 2 game. It probably should have been my number 2 game behind Red Dead, because, man, it seems like this was the right game for them to come out with at this point. It's really, really good. So I can't wait for that one. What about, so another one, 2 others that I've been putting up, 3 others I've been putting a lot of time into. Forza Horizon 4. So I started that.
Oh, yeah.
Putting some hours into that. Why don't you kick off with that one? Because I know you have played that one.
I am so blessed, and I hope everybody out there, if you own an Xbox, you have to have Xbox Game Pass. That is such a great deal. That's a great opportunity and a great service that Xbox provides for that $9 a month price tag, because to get first-party games like Forza Horizon on day one, totally, it is $9 a month, but for free, to be able to play that is so awesome, because this is one of those games. I'm not a big racing guy, especially when it comes to more the Forza series. I would skip those and look for more like, Need for Speed arcades, even though Forza is kind of more of that. Horizon's the arcade version. Motorsports is the true traditional simulation. But man, to have that on Xbox Game Pass, to boot it up day one, it is so much fun. It's a must play for sure. It's insane. It's incredible.
I'm amazed that they put that on Game Pass, man. That is just that is the perfect game to put on Game Pass. As you said, and I'm not trying to shill for Xbox, but it's kind of ridiculous for $10 a month that they're putting all of their brand new big giant games like that. That game has got hundreds and hundreds of hours probably, if you really felt like going that deep into it, man. That's so cool that I guess I didn't even realize it was on Games Pass till you just said it.
Oh, yeah, it's great to have all the first-party titles, day one releases. I mean, this is truly the first one that we've seen come from Microsoft to be day one first-party on Xbox Game Pass. We haven't had a large title like this come to this service yet, but to just have that is so much fun. And, man, I had a great time with Forza Horizon 3 with my man Brian and a couple of other friends. To move to this, I think the setting is right. I think the seasons are phenomenal to go from fall with the leaves changing colors. It's that cool breeze. You could tell, you could feel it. Then into winter where you're just skirting around the snow and the ice. Spring with the rain, summer with the sunshine. I mean, they did the full 4 seasons out of the year, the full 360, I'll call it. And I think it's phenomenal. My only criticism is I can't get my driving wheel to work, Tom. We talked about this before the podcast, and I see a lot in the forums that a lot of people have issues somehow getting that, driving wheel to truly sync up and be the right settings. There's so many settings with no instruction of what they actually do. There's things called the wheel feedback, reverse feedback, where you're like, I don't even know what this means, but the moment you start playing with them, you feel it immediately. You know if that wheel's going to catch, if it's spinning too much, and we just haven't been able to dial it in. And this is also coming from Forza Horizon 3, where I had Brian, I've had friends come over. We have sat here for 5+ hours between 2 different games trying to get this wheel dialed in, and it has no love, no luck whatsoever. So I truly hope that we can figure it out, because I would love to elevate my Forza playing and add the wheel to it with the pedals. Would be so much fun.
I mean, what are they? There's, as you and I talked about, there's not a lot of racing games out there. This would be the one that if you were going to do a third-party wheel like Logitech or whomever, this would be the one that you would design it around. I mean, this is the game in the Forza series, whether it's Forza 7 or whatever it is, the most recent one. Man, that's so disappointing for me to hear. As I told you, so I had the Xbox 360 wheel, the Microsoft branded one, the white one. I don't know if you remember that one. And it kind of sat in your lap and it had like a RJ45 telephone cord that connected to the pedals. And so you had... but it was tiny, right? It was just, it was the greatest wheel setup I've ever had in my life. It had a brake, it had a clutch, had an accelerator, stayed on the floor. I used to play Forza Horizon 2 and original one using the wheel. Dude, that game is so great with a wheel because obviously when you do with a controller, you get the little kind of, it's like jerky, right? If you watch the wheel, it's not as smooth as what a normal actual wheel. Man, I hope you can get that figured out because that game is so much better with doing it that way. I will say, man, the Xbox controller, and you and I have talked a lot about the different controllers on PlayStation, Xbox in the past. That controller was made, and if you're going to have a controller for a racing game, dude, the rumble on that is so good. Like when you're over uneven terrain on Forza, like you can feel which side it's coming from. You can feel the pressure of it. The controller just shines for that game. I don't love playing racing games with a controller, but if you have to do one, dude, the Xbox controller in that game are like a match made in heaven.
Oh, it's so cool. And like just some of the small added stuff of like when you're out in the countryside and you're trying to run over some sheep, somebody designed it perfectly where the sheep always just somehow avoid your bumper. I mean, I'm out there really trying to run over some sheep and you cannot do it. How awesome is that? I mean, the cars are beautiful. Like I said, the setting is beautiful. I love the UK. I love that England countryside over there. I think it's a lot of fun. The music is always good. And that's coming from a guy, I'm not always the biggest into techno, the womp womp music, but I think, man, when you get that radio station just dialed right, you're topping out at about 100 miles an hour around the curve. There is no reason why you aren't doing the night at the Roxbury, nodding your head and having some fun. Because, man, it's just a perfect combination. I am excited. I know we just got this, but everybody was talking back at E3. When are we going to go to Tokyo and get a Too Fast, Too Furious Tokyo Drift type situation out there, man? I cannot wait to see when they take it to Japan and give us that setting. I think that will be the next one. I know it has to be the next one. So I'm excited for that. But right now we got to enjoy what we got. It just came out last week, so let's not be asking for a new Forza already. But man, I can't wait to keep going with this. Play with you guys. I love the drivatars, Tom. I love to see you try to smash into you. And I truly hope when anybody on my Xbox friends list that has me, when they see SnowBikeMike, I hope they know that I'm just carnage and rampage. I'm banging into people. I'm hitting the sidewalls. There's no finesse to my driving, so I hope people know that.
Oh, dude, you've pissed me off in my games. Your drivatar, yours and Andy Cortez's. I sent him a thing the other day. I'm like, I don't know what it is, how your particular drivatar has become my nemesis, but literally in every game, it's you and Andy ahead of me. And a bunch of, but it is funny as hell to see Earl the Squirrel and Gifted Dim and all of my friends, that really is kind of a cool touch. They do show up a little too much. It's like, hey, I just passed SnowBikeMike. Like, why is he over here again now?
He's in a brand new car,
a brand new car, different thing. But that's actually been a really cool touch. So, the one thing I haven't done, I will say about the game, I've primarily done it in single player. I'm not super far into it. Like I said, maybe 5-6 hours I've put into it, which is, obviously super early percentage wise and all that. Have you played online yet, or what have you done? What has been your experience?
I have not played online. We were going to play online, me and Brian, and hook up the whole team, but we were so caught up in getting the wheel dialed in that it ate up a lot of my play time. So all I've done is simply single player. Like I said, it makes me feel like I'm playing online because I can see all of your names in front of me each and every race. But yeah, I would love to have people chirping in my headphones. Forza Horizon 3, we played a lot of online to the point where we were were racing, we were off-road racing, and we were even playing the cool mini games called Infection, similar to Halo, where you have to bang into each other and then you turn into the evil car and everybody's just playing tag with cars. That is the most fun thing I've ever done in a racing game, and I hope they have it in Forza Horizon 4 because that will be the first thing we play.
I didn't check to see that they do. I've played that too. I played that with Earl and Brian and a few other people myself. That is a super, super fun game mode. It's got to be in there, right? That was kind of one of their big staple, highlights that they had in the last one. That's a big world too. So I drove the whole map the other day just to kind of see everything because I was hoping there would be a little bit more elevation in it. If I'm being honest, I mean, I always liked sort of mountainous stuff. But man, I think there was 550 some odd roads to discover. I mean, that is a very, very big game world. There's a lot of fun to be had in that. Have you, one thing I was, for me at least, and I always, we talk about game difficulty sometimes on the podcast, and I think racing games are probably one of the more unique ones, especially single player. Multiplayer is kind of its own animal when it comes to different people, but I love all the customizability of that game. I've always loved the fact that you can turn on and off a lot of the assists to make it as easy or as hard as you want to do it. Have you found the right mix yet? Because I'm kind of struggling, if I'm being honest. I have a lot of very, I finish 8th, 9th, 10th if I don't exactly nail it. But I win too easily if I do. Have you found the right mix of difficulty settings yet?
No, I haven't messed with the difficulty settings yet. I will say, just like you, Tom, I can win every single race whole-handedly by a couple of seconds on the default situation unless I bang into a wall. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, truly, if it's a 3-lap race, if it's an extended race, there is no reason why I should ever lose that. And I always feel like I'm winning and winning by a sizable gap. And so, like you said, I probably have to look into the default settings and just kind of tailor that to where I'm at because I always feel like no matter what race I'm in, I'm going to win this regardless. As long as I don't go headlong into a wall and mess something up, I'm going to win it. And I could still bang, whatever car I wanted to and still get the win.
Yeah, I wondered how the rubber banding was on that one because I'm not real, by the way, I like to be challenged with that. I don't like the fact that I can win every race really easily. Like I love turning up the challenge. There's a whole bunch of different even drivatar levels you can set, which is great. Then you can turn off the racing lines and some other things that don't necessarily affect the speed of the other racers, but make the races more challenging. Because I don't want to win every race. I want to have to do really well to win it, and so I'm still kind of struggling with it. But man, I can't wait to play online with you, bud. That I love that game. There's. You know what's crazy about that game, and I sent out a tweet about Playground Games, is that's a really hard game to make it better every year because you feel like you've seen everything, done everything. When they added 4K and HDR to Australia last year, it really is the prettiest game I think ever made. Like the rain and the stuff that's like on the windshield that you get to see on the screen. I mean, the colors, the vibrant colors, like when you're going in and out of the festivals. I don't know if you've seen that, like underneath some of the tunnels and stuff. That game is just visually like nothing else I've ever seen before. And they somehow managed to make it better year to year, which for an annual franchise is not easy to do, as all the big franchises struggle with. Man, they definitely keep raising the bar. This one's by far, to me, the most fun of the bunch. There's no question.
Oh, it's sweet. It's well worth it. And remember, if you got Xbox Game Pass, you have it right now. Download it. It's awesome. It's totally worth it.
All right, so the next one, I don't think you've played, but I just want to cover it real quick because there's one really specific thing I want to say about it. So I've been playing a bunch of Destiny 2 Forsaken. So I've put a bunch of hours back into Destiny 2. So my Destiny history is a little scattered. I've always played the campaigns. I've always enjoyed the heck out of the shooting. I mean, nobody makes a shooter like Bungie. But I've been like probably a lot of people, is that I kind of binge it when it comes out. I play the campaign, play a little bit of Crucible, and then I forget about it. I generally don't have people to do raids with. I haven't done the raids, which I know is definitively the best in-game content, and it's always bothered me that I haven't done it, but I also know it's a massive commitment of time and energy to get through one of them. I do some of the strikes, I've tried them, but then I just I put it down and I move on to something else. So I decided to get back into Destiny. Man, I got to tell you, Mike, and you're a big Halo guy. There is something about this expansion, and I know you've not been real big into Destiny, They have new enemies now. They have some new mechanics and some things that are different from previous. Dude, there are times that I swear it feels like, it reminds me so much of like Halo Reach, Halo 3, like the enemy AI, the way that, Halo was so brilliant about, you make one mistake in Halo and you're dead, right? Even in the campaign back in the day, it was such a difficult game because the AI was so good. I mean, Bungie was just like top of their game with enemy AI. That happens in Forsaken. The enemies, I mean, the first hour of the campaign, and I won't spoil for people who haven't played it, there's a really dramatic moment at the beginning, but there's a boss fight at the very beginning, and then the subsequent sort of 2 or 3 levels. Dude, it is so difficult, like genuinely difficult, where you are doing everything you can to find cover. That was always my frustration with Destiny, was it just didn't feel difficult enough. I know that's silly to say, but it reminds me of Halo, Mike. As a Halo guy, you owe it to yourself to check out the expansion. The Gambit mode is a lot of fun. Like, there's some things they've added here that for you, I think you would really dig.
Well, I mean, that's high praises coming from you, Tom, and I know that Destiny community will hype it up just as much as well. And I got a good friend, Steezy Steve over there. He's been playing a lot of it, and he loves the Gambit mode. He's vibing with that. Him and his buddies are loving that. And I've always appreciated, Bungie, when you feel that tight Halo-type shooter techniques that you felt in Destiny. The carryover was so good, but it's like, man, here we are, we're talking about that, Tom, and that was so long ago, though, Tom. Like, it's tough for me to want to like get into it. Like, that should have happened in the first couple expansions. Why are we talking about that now?
I hear you, man. But so here's the cool thing. So they, when you get the new expansion, they have this thing called a spark of light or seed of light. I forget exactly what it is, and you consume it against one of your characters, whoever you have built, and it bumps you to the new level minimum, right? So that you can go do the Forsaken expansion. In the process, it stops you from doing the Curse of Osiris and Warmind. So there was, the Destiny 2 game, then Curse of Osiris, then Warmind, and now this. So if you go do that, and I played part of Curse of Osiris, I never played Warmind, but I just said, screw it, I don't care about seeing those, I'm going to go right to and eat this spark of light and go to it. Dude, this game, so the thing that I didn't like about one of the things I didn't like about the old one was, it was just such a time commitment, right? There was such a grind to it, and it just felt like, I've always had this issue with games, and the Division had this problem where as you level up, your gun goes from doing 85 damage to 120 damage, but then the enemies just got stronger too. So you're both just like leveling up together. So it doesn't make it any more difficult, right? It's like as you get more powered, the enemies get more powered, and it's still on the same general playing field. They didn't do that in this one. So they seem to have made it, where you can wander into some really difficult encounters that you're probably not going to win until you get more leveled up. And I will say this, and for you who hasn't played in a while, here's really why you should get back in. They're way more, to me, they understood that not everybody wants to grind, and they don't want to I don't have freaking 20 hours to put into it just to get the right loot and all the stuff that I need to progress it. Man, they are doling out stuff way quicker. So you feel like you're making progress at an incredibly accelerated rate. At least I have. Maybe I've just gotten lucky with what I've done. But they seem like they're respecting my time much more. They know you're not going to invest as much as the hardcore Destiny community is. And for me, I'm seeing everything, and I'm seeing it at a way quicker pace. Man, I encourage you to go check it out, dude. It's not a huge time commitment now, and to me, it's the best Destiny's ever been.
Wow, Tom, high praises. All right. Well, I'll think about it. I'm going to tell you probably not with the fall releases, but maybe. I'll think about it.
I'll take that as a strong maybe, probably no, is what I just heard. Okay. I got 2 other ones, and then I'll kick over to you. And if there's any here that we didn't hit on your list, dude, the other one that is like, I've also sent a bunch of tweets out that has like burrowed into my soul. Hyperlight Drifter. Have you played Hyperlight Drifter?
No, but I watched Andy Cortez stream it. Looks pretty cool. Definitely looks in that genre of what I've been playing lately, actually, Tom, of The Messenger, Dead Cells, Celeste, like we've been talking about. So it's definitely one of those of like, I could see myself playing this,
I had no idea, Mike, what this game was. I'd always seen it, and I'd always heard people talk about it. I'd seen them, give glaring praise for it. I had never played it. I didn't know anything about it. Man, it is it's really hard to even describe what it is. I do think it's along the lines of the games that you just mentioned, although it's so obtuse in that I can see people quitting this game after an hour because it's so obtuse that you don't even know the game systems. Everything is told sort of through pictures and stories. You can barely navigate the map screen, let alone figure out how to move around it. But when you figure stuff out, it is incredibly rewarding. And people have made the Dark Souls comparison to it as far as like a lot of those games have that sort of level of difficulty. I really didn't think I was going to like this game. I got to be dead honest. I spent an hour with it and I was like, oh, it's really difficult and it seems overly complicated and I don't understand what I'm doing. And then something just started clicking and it is like peeling back an onion now to figure out more and more stuff. And as soon as you figure something out, you kind of have one of these amazing moments. It's a really rewarding game to play. You should definitely check it out. The Switch version and I haven't played the other ones, but I've read some. This seems to be the definitive version. Some of the things that they added, and this game's been out, I think, for about 2 or 3 years now. 2 years. So it is a port, and it's sort of modernized. But man, give this one a shot, Mike. You've been digging those. I know you've been playing some Celeste, some Messenger. It's kind of a combination of all of those. I think a little Hollow Knight even in it. It's definitely worth a look. It's a good game.
All right. Well, it looked cool for sure from watching gameplay. So I'm kind of into that. We'll see. Once I beat Celeste, then maybe we'll move on to it. I'm trying to take my knocks as they come. I've given up on Dead Cells because I haven't given up. I still love the gameplay. I could play it anytime, but I just have given up knowing I'm not going to beat that game. You know what I mean? It's just a mutual respect between the two of us of like, you know what, Mike, you're not going to beat this game. Understand it. I'm like, okay, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to beat this game. And then the Messenger, I'm still having fun with. I'm trying to push through it. And Celeste is my recent one. Since we're just kind of on that topic of Hyper Light Drifter and Celeste, I've been loving Celeste, Tom Bock. I just got done with the hotel. And man, from the first level of learning the mechanics, having a good time with that, to the second level, having the evil girl chase you around, your evil self chase you around, was just a nightmare. Gave me so much anxiety. The pressure was on at all moments to, you got to hit this jump perfectly. Oh, you didn't double jump? You got to double jump. Oh, how did you bust through that piece of flubber thing? I don't know. It's freaking me out. And so to beat her and then go to the hotel where you have all that fun and then there's like a mini boss fight, man, Celeste and all those type of platforming games have been all over me lately, and I'm loving it.
And you have, your history with those kind of games has been pretty limited,
it's a hard
right?
zero. So,
yeah.
This is the first time in my life, and it's been over the course of this year, where I've ever played anything like, what they like to call the roguelike, Metrovania, platforming type games. This is the first time ever in my gaming career where I've sat down, felt the hype from everybody else, sat down and given it a chance, and I love it. Love them so much.
Have you, because Celeste to me, Mike, honestly, and we'll do a game of the year here soon. We have so much still coming out, but Celeste is still right up there for me. I know the game came out in January and it's hard to kind of remember way back then, but I love that game. I genuinely, and for me too, I'm a little bit like you in terms of certain genres I've never really gotten into. And as much as, Super Metroid is one of my top 10 of all time, in general, I'm not real big on that type of genre. There's something about Celeste, and you and I talked before we started recording. It's just at least for me, and I don't know how they did this, it's the perfect level of difficulty. Super Meat Boy is a real similar one as far as you can die 100 times, and through the death counts in Celeste, as you get further, and I finished the game, can get just obscene, 400, 500. I never felt like it was, I always wanted to keep going. I never got bummed out by it. And they designed it to me. Some of those levels are just genius level programming. They made it the perfect, it's like they figured out, hey, after about 30 times, they're going to get this. And we're going to keep it just as hard as it is, make that one jump really difficult. The rewarding feeling of getting through one of those tough spots is like nothing. That game is, I love hearing that you're getting into it because it's such a unique game type.
Oh, it feeds right into my, my passion of what I used to yell at you, one more game. Of like, one more try. You can do it. Oh, you failed. You know what? That took 15 seconds. Again, you got time. Do it again. Like all of these games from Dead Cells to Messenger to Celeste, those have fed my addiction of one more time, one more game, don't stop now. And that is exactly what I want. I love the quick load in. We talked about it with some other games. Sometimes you die and you're meant to die a bunch, but then there's like a 30-second load in, a minute-long load in where you're like, well, this has just killed the vibe and killed the run. At least with this, when you die, it's like, let's put you right back on the platform, let's go, and that's what you want to see. That's what I need.
Are you doing, I know I was giving you a hard time as you were streaming the other day because that game has an inordinate amount of things that are kind of hidden that you might not know were there, that I didn't know were there until I sort of watched other people stream it or YouTube it. There's a lot of weird hidden stuff, man, soundtrack stuff and sort of the alternate levels. Are you trying to get through it, or are you going after strawberries? Like if you see a really complicated strawberry, are you spending the time to want to go get them? Is that like dragging you in to want to go do it or not?
I'm 50-50 on the strawberries because there's always a piece of me that's like, I want that strawberry. And then there's another piece of me like, we're not going to sit here for another 10 minutes trying to get this strawberry. You're moving now, Mike. And it's also one of those of like, maybe it would be different if I'm not playing on stream because I'm usually playing all of these games on stream. So I have that, that give and take of like, how much can the audience really take of me just watching me die over here? Or can I just keep moving? Do they want to see me try to get that? And so it's a give and take for me, but I'm 50-50 on the strawberries. If I see them, I'm getting them. If they're too difficult for me, we're leaving them real quick.
And here's the other question too, because I will tell you definitively, having struggled at parts of that game, and I, as much as I travel for work, it's a game I've played a lot on an airplane. I got to where I had to travel with a Pro Controller. The sound, let me talk about a gamer geek problem. That game is very difficult on anything but a Pro Controller. At least some of the harder stuff. Are you playing it on a Pro Controller? Or are you playing it with the Joy-Cons?
No, I'm on the Xbox. You're on the Xbox with it.
Oh, geez. I didn't know.
So I had that thought in my mind of like, do I buy this on the Switch knowing that maybe I'll travel with it? But in reality, I'm just not traveling that much. I already have plenty of games on the Switch for travel times. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be sitting here. Let's just buy it on the Xbox. And like you said, there's the big time controller. It feels good. It feels right. I have no issues with it.
Yeah, you need a real controller for that game. There are some spots of that I think the Joy-Cons just don't lend themselves very well to that. It runs well on the Switch, though. It looks good. Dude, I love that. So Hyperlight Drifter, good. I will close on this one, and then we can kind of talk about if there's any ones I think you've been playing as well. But just 2 nights ago, I got turned on to a little game called Astrobot in VR. Man, I literally can't put into words how much fun I'm having with this game. I'm playing with my kids, and so that's part of it, I'm sure. But as far as VR goes, having played most of the VR titles, like I was pretty deep into it there. I know you got lost in the virtual world for a little while there. I've played most of them. This is, to me, head and shoulders above any other VR game I've ever played on PlayStation VR. I've played some Oculus games that are pretty cool. It is so well made, so much fun, everything I want out of a VR game. I can't really describe it because it's VR, just other than people should go YouTube it and look at some stuff and see sort of the level design. It's really vertical, up and down. You're catching yourself always having to, stuff is hidden in beautiful places. It controls well. You have to play this game, Mike. There's no way around it. To me, it is the best PSVR game, period, full stop.
That's funny you say that because, 2 weeks ago, I told you Firewall 0 Hour was the best PSVR game. 0 stop. Now you tell me it's a new one. I'm going to have to check it out. I mean, that's high praises like we talked about with Destiny and the expansion. And for you to say that, I'm always itching to get back into the virtual reality world. I love it so much. And to have experiences like that where a friend looks at you and is like, you got to play this. It's like, man, I got to pony up and get this right away then. So I'll definitely check it out. Maybe next week or the week after I'll have some impressions.
It's an experience you can't miss, and I'm sure again, it is a little bit of a kid's game, or it's a very lighthearted game. It's not intended to be anything very serious, and so I think for people that are looking for something like, dude, it couldn't be further apart from a Farpoint or a Firewall or any of those that are very serious, and those are fun too. I love Firewall. I haven't played a ton of it, but I played enough of it to kind of see what it's all about. It really, I mean. To me, and there's a game called Moss. I know you tried to play Moss one time. We were talking about on stream, and it didn't go great just because the technology, the Stream Deck didn't work. But there's a certain kind of game inside of VR that, at least for me, because we've talked before about, I do get motion sickness. I'm not great if I'm the first person VR point of view, that can kind of throw me. Excuse me. But this game is, the God mode version of VR, where you're looking down over the top of the platforming section, whatever it might be. And so it's got a little different VR application to it, right? You can still pan around and you're the one looking down into it, but you're not doing it from the eyes of the robot. And to me, it's just like the greatest way to use VR is to see it from like a tabletop perspective, because there's so many different ways you can kind of approach it. You will not regret it, even if it's not exactly your jam. It's a huge game. Like, I am staggered for $40. There's at least, I think, 50 or 60 levels, plus another 40 or 50 challenge levels. It's a monster size of a game. Like, it's not just a small experience. It's a very, very large, beefy game on top of that. So check it out. You at least for a gamer, it's something you got to experience.
All right, Tom, I like all that. You've been playing a lot of games. My man Tom, he's got some time to play some games. I'm loving that. On my side, Tom, we talked about Celeste. I've been loving Celeste. So happy to give that a try. Forza Horizon has been phenomenal. I have been playing a lot of Pizza Titan Ultra. Of course, you might have checked out the YouTube channel where I gave you the 60 seconds of hype, and there is so much to be hype about this small little indie game. It's so much fun. It's like Crazy Taxi with a giant 3-story tall mech robot, and your goal is just to go around different islands, cities, whatever, and deliver pizza with a little bit of added combat. It's fun as can be, and for like $12, how could you go wrong with an experience like that? So it's a good time. I'm trying to think of what else I've been playing.
Is that a new game before you go on? So is Pizza,
I think it's been out on Steam for quite some time. I think it's new to PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
Okay.
And it will be heading to the Switch soon. So if you want to play that on a trip, I recommend it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. Fully customizable mech. It's got some fun combat elements and just some wild and crazy characters that you encounter. So it's well worth it. It's well worth it.
How did you find that? Like, that's a game that I don't think I would have ever just randomly stumbled across. Where did this thing come from for you?
Just a store page. Here I was on the store page looking up games to play on stream, and all of a sudden Pizza Titan Ultra was on it, and it's like, man, you put pizza, mech robots together. I mean, of course I got to buy it. So yeah, it was $12. Like I said, the price tag was perfect, and the gameplay has been a lot of fun. It's been a great time playing it.
Is it challenging, difficult, or is it just kind of a fun romp, blow stuff up?
More of a fun romp. There's a couple of challenges where like you might get caught and the enemies might blow you up, but it would be few and far between by the times you die. So as long as you're on it, you're noticing your health bar and you kind of see what's going on around you. It's a fun, easy romp most of the time. I'm about halfway through it. I've probably only died maybe 4 times total, and that's me just getting caught out in the wrong spot. Enemies beating up on me too much.
You think I would dig it? Should I give it a whirl?
I mean, you watch that 60 seconds of hype. You think about it, Tom, because I'm hyped up about it. I'm digging it.
I was definitely hype.
And then the final game that I've been playing, since it is the month of October, I am reaching out to another genre of video games that I never play, and that is horror video games. You know, you talked a lot about The Evil Within 2. You had some pros, you had some cons about it. So for the month of October on the stream, I'm picking maybe 1 to 2 days a week where I'll play some horror games and get a little scared. This week, I played Outlast. I probably got about 50% of the way through Outlast, probably about a 5-hour stream, and man, was I sweating, was my heart rate racing, was I in a little bit of a panic most of the time. It was a lot of fun. It's one of those, I always find it's like any video game, but on the horror side in particular, it's like you always get scared the first time, right? That first jump scare or that first time you die because you didn't know what was going to happen. After that, it's like, okay, run to the left. No, now you got to take this right. Okay, that's where the key is. Get over there. And so like the second or third time, it just feels repetitive of like, how do I beat this guy? How do I get past him? Okay, he's done. It's not as scary as the first time, but man, Outlast, woo, it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
It is scary. I've played part of it. I felt like when I played it, I was hiding a little too much, and I didn't feel like I was just waiting too many times of like hiding in a closet or hiding in a. So have you? I downloaded Outlast 2 the other day, not too long ago as well. That might be one to check out here for October. Throw that one up there as well. Are you gonna? You're gonna finish Outlast?
I would like to finish Outlast. I think I would say that I've been having a good time. Especially, it's interesting. It's not one of those where there's no combat in it, as you've probably felt with it. It's more of like a hide and seek type mechanic. You have a video camera, so you need to capture certain things. That's how you kind of see in the dark instead of a flashlight. But there's no combat at all, so you're always running away from people. So maybe that makes it a little more intense, as opposed to like, I don't know, maybe a Resident Evil or the Evil Within, where it's like, grab that axe and just start smashing an X against the guy and see who wins, So I kind of like that element. I will definitely get back into it because, like I said, it's scary enough. It's got some good moments, and it's not too scary. I think the next one that we'll play on stream will be Resident Evil 7 in VR. Now, the issue is I've already beaten Resident Evil 7, so how scary can it be? Not quite sure. It's been about 2 years now since it's released and since I beat it, so I think I've kind of forgotten most of the jump scares that will happen, but that in VR should be a good time.
Too, there's two, I'm trying to remember the names of what they are. There's 2 DLCs, if not 3 DLCs now for Resident Evil 7 that you might check out. I bought the gold version about 6 months ago. It was like a special I saw on Amazon. It was like $19.99, and there was I want to say there was 2 or 3. One of them I think they gave out for free, and then there was another 2 that they had charged for at the time. That could be something fun to kind of throw out there. I love Resident Evil 7, man. That was such a well done game. That game still to me in VR is this. I had to come out of VR. It was too difficult for me to get through it. I was genuinely scared. I mean, maybe scared is, it wasn't a fun feeling. I didn't enjoy being in that world at all because it was so visceral. I really felt like I was there, and it scared the crap out of me. So that could be a fun one to go do. And dude, Resident Evil 2, you got 3 months here.
That would have been a perfect October release. That time, like, I know it's going to be big in the spring because we always talk about those spring titles are getting a lot of love after the holiday rush. But man, like a scary game like that's got to be in October. You know what I mean? Like, you got to put those kind of games in October, give the people the chance, and especially something with Resident Evil. We don't need this to sell gangbusters in the first month. Like, this is going to have legs. People are going to buy it because they love the Resident Evil franchise. Like, put it up against Tomb Raider. Put it up against Call of Duty. What's the point of having this out in February? This should be an October release. I also downloaded Amnesia, the collection, so we're excited to check that one out. I got Layers of Fear. I know the Kind of Funny guys did a playthrough of that. I know that the What's Good Games girls, they did a playthrough of that. So we got horror games on the list. I'm going to try a new genre of video games. And first week went well. Shout out to LeBron over there on the bench. He was there with me, giving me the confidence to go forward with it. And we turned off all the lights. It was super fun in the building. All I had was my cell phone flashlight up to my face, and it made for a pretty fun stream.
Oh, that's great. I wish I would have seen it. Dude, the ultimate horror game that is in my top 5 of all time, Dead Space. That's one you
Dead Space. I've downloaded all 3 of those for you, and that came in second place on the drawing, or else we would have played that one first.
So good. And it's scary. I mean, it definitely, the first one it's got its moments.
Good. That's what I needed to hear. Is it's scary because you look at Dead Space and I kind of think of more of like the action horror game. You know what I mean? I'm looking for like that jump up out your seat, get scared horror game.
Yeah, it's a little of both. I don't want to oversell it, as it's certainly not like those other ones where you're genuinely supernatural terrified. But there's enough stuff in there that'll definitely freak you out, and they do have some great jump scares where things kind of the way they do the lighting. You'll see like a shadow run across in front of you. They do some really cool stuff. Plus it's such a great game. It's a great game.
All right. Well, I'll check that out. That's everything that I've been playing. I mean, man, me and Tom, we are in the thick of this fall season right now. We're playing a whole lot of games, whole lot more to talk about next week. Of course, we'll have Assassin's Creed Odyssey impressions. We will have Super Mario Party impressions. Call of Duty Black Ops will be out, and I cannot wait to get back into blackout mode. I mean, PUBG and Fortnite, move out the way because I am coming back with Call of Duty. I can't wait to play that. And that's everything we've been playing. So let's move on to topic number 2. It's going to be some sports talk. So ring that buzzer. Tom Bock, football season, a quarter of the way through, a third of the way through. We're into week 4, week 5 right now. Give me some of your impressions. What teams are kind of standing out to you? Maybe some things that have happened on and off the field. What are you feeling right now with the NFL?
Man, so the NFL season this far has been a little bit weird to me. Like, I'm a huge NFL fan, right? It's you and I talk all the time about the NBA, and I'm equally as big of an NFL fan, if not bigger. I'll start off with my teams, and it's just been a kind of a weird start for both the Seahawks and the Cowboys. My two kind of teams, they're both 2-2, which is great. Just in terms of just win, baby, you got to win games. But it's an ugly 2-2 for both of them. Neither of them look very good at all. They clearly have some giant deficiencies, right? Earl Thomas, obviously, in the Seahawks got hurt, which was really, really challenging. Although he was, the Seahawks were probably not going anywhere this year, and he was barking about wanting to get traded and everything else. And so that was sort of a weird thing. But that's a team that's probably not going to end up 8-8. I just don't see them winning too many more games. They just haven't looked good. Dude, the Cowboys pain me. They feel like they can be good at certain times, but I feel like it's going to be the same old shit with the Cowboys. 7-9, 8-8 kind of season. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot. There's not enough there, not enough playmakers on offense for the Cowboys. Obviously, at wide receiver, it's a tough thing for them this year. So my teams are kind of down. I will say, though, the teams that are up look really good, right? I mean, the Rams look just unbelievable. Sean McVay continues to sort of design plays in a way that, I mean, Jared Goff's a good enough quarterback. I'm not trying to slam on him, but man, they're just the complexity, the play design that they have. I feel like there's a guy always running free, wide open in that offense. The Rams look unstoppable offensively to me, as do the Chiefs, dude. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. People said it all last year. Everybody talked about this kid. I never know what to think about young quarterbacks when they come in the league. Like, can they possibly ever really understand the complexity of these defenses and blitzes and everything else? Dude, this kid has been like just ungodly. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. I'm glued to him. I watched him on Monday night. Like, this kid is the real deal, which is amazing to say after watching a guy for 4 games. To be prisoner of the moment like that, this guy's phenomenally talented, and I can't wait to see sort of what his career over this back half of the year even looks like.
Yeah, Tom, no doubt. I mean, you touched on the 2 gunslingers there. LA, that team has been on the come up for the past 3 years, and they are riding this high right now. That new stadium cannot come in soon enough right here. And man, the Chargers, they should have stayed down in San Diego because with the LA Rams hype, I don't even think about the LA Chargers anymore. And like you said, Patrick Mahomes has been so much fun to watch. I mean, when they got rid of Alex Smith and he went up to Washington, I said to myself, well, there goes the Chiefs. This used to be a dominant team, always competing with my Broncos. No way they could compete anymore. And to watch this kid, the composure, the tutelage, the knowledge that he's probably getting from Andy Reid. I mean, this is incredible to watch. And man, he went up against those Broncos down by like 10 or 14, and they swung that game in the final quarter to the point where you didn't think he had it in him. And he was throwing passes with his opposite hand. He's moving, he's shaking. That was fun to watch. And yeah, that team's going to be tough down the stretch here. As long as he stays healthy, he continues to grow and improve like he is. That's going to be a fun gunslinger to watch.
Well, dude, I mean, look at all the controversy in the NFL this year has been about the quarterback hits and all the issues. Clay Matthews has been sort of super outspoken and got a lot of these roughing the passer calls of what the NFL now wants these rules to be to protect quarterbacks. Can't land on them, can't hit them high, can't hit them low. This is what the NFL wants to be. They want it to be these 48 to 45 games. They want, the Chiefs have no defense to speak of whatsoever, but they may not need a defense in the way that the NFL is played today. And it's shocking to see. Look, there's nothing worse than seeing like when Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1. Look, I want to see the stars play too. I'll admit, there's nothing worse than having the best of the best injured. And there's been a lot of seasons where people have been out, and so many years you're like, well, the team's playing at half strength because they're starting quarterbacks out. People want to see offense these days. They really want to see, with all the kind of YouTube generation, highlight generation. When I was a kid, it was all about hits. It was all about defense, right? There was always these Sports Illustrated, let's watch guys clotheslining guys and kicking the shit out of people. Now it's about offense. And I get it. And so I think that, trying to protect the quarterbacks is a good thing. I just hope they don't get to a spot. It's hard to watch. I don't know if you've caught some of these roughing the passer penalties that have turned games. There was the Clay Matthews one that decided the outcome of that game. The Cowboys-Seahawks game had a couple in it with Tyrone Crawford. I mean, I don't even know how you're supposed to tackle a quarterback. You can't even get him down really without drawing a flag. So I hope that kind of bounces back. My other thought is, dude, there's a bunch of teams at 3-1 that I have no idea how good or bad they're going to be. Bengals, Ravens, Dolphins, Titans, Jags. You got the Patriots now, who looked really good the last couple of games, who are always going to be there. It seems like they're always going to be there. They got Josh Gordon now. Julian Edelman's back. So the Patriots are this is a really exciting year on not really knowing what's going to happen because of these new teams, or like you said, the up and comers who are now look like they're going to make a run. The NFC's weird, though. I have no idea. The Eagles don't look great. The Saints look really good. Drew Brees is going to set the record. I don't know if you've seen that. He's going to set the all-time yardage record here. I believe this Sunday's like 200-something yards to go. The Bears are 3-1, which is also crazy. Like Khalil Mack just taking over games defensively. So, man, we're at the quarter pole. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of football left to be played, and I'm excited. I just wish my two teams were doing a little better because they're going nowhere this year.
I love that, Tom. Well, we got a long season ahead of us, a whole lot of fun stuff to talk about, especially with Baker Mayfield. He's blowing up right now. Where will Dez land? Will Dez even land anywhere? Where is he at? Earl Thomas and, the number 1 logo over to his teammates over on the sideline. That was tough to watch. Roughing the passer, what will happen over with that? I mean, like you said, that has dictated a couple of games. They're going to have to talk about that and fix that. But we got a lot of football still ahead of us. Yeah. Get ready. Monday night, the Saints. Drew Brees will break this passing record set by Peyton Manning. It's going to be a big one to put on a Monday night football game. So make sure you're watching that if you're a Saints fan or just a football fan in general. This will be a great game ahead of you. And that, Tom, is the end of episode 13 of the Game Time Podcast. We had a lot of video games to talk about. Tom Bock took us through the NFL world with the quarter marker. Man, we had so much fun. Tom Bock, any closing remarks? Tell the people where you can find them.
Well, dude, first of all, I noticed you've got your little LeBron thing back there that one of our best friends, Jamie, had sent us. This thing is like the greatest thing ever to have an NBA 2K19. We didn't talk NBA. Look at that. Look at your boy, dude. Look at him. We need a little purple and gold with our boy LBJ, dude. I can't wait to see this. We'll talk NBA next week, man, because I can't wait to pick your brain about what you see coming up here with not just the Lakers, obviously sort of the big thing, but the Rockets. Dude, you got the Celtics now with Gordon Hayward. You see Kyrie the other day came out and said he's committed to Boston. How are they going to pay all these guys? You got what's going on in Toronto now too, which could be super, super interesting, right? There's a lot of NBA, and we're right on the cusp of it, my brother.
Just like that, man. By the time we're talking NBA, the preseason will be done. We'll be kicking off week 1 of the NBA with a whole lot of sports talk. We'll be talking Assassin's Creed next week. We'll be talking Super Mario Party. We'll be talking Call of Duty. This is the time to be talking video games and sports. So thank you all so much for joining us. Remember, leave some comments, questions, and concerns in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe. Tom Bock loves to talk to you guys in the comments below. Please do that. And everybody, be good to one another. Be safe and have some fun out there. Thanks on behalf of me and Tom Bock at the Game Time Podcast. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.